Chaos. Pure, utter chaos. People piled up in the streets of Manila Bay. Security guards overwhelmed. The skies falling. The people screaming. Who could have done this? Who was responsible for all this? Chaos. There can only be one man responsible for this. The Fire Festival of the Philippines. For those of you who live in the cursed lands known as the Philippines, you would know that a couple years back, there was this anime convention that was so bad that it landed on the news. And the guy responsible for this is Justin Banusing. So, before anything, the guy's learned his lesson. Don't take anything out on him. But for those of you who are lucky enough to not live in the Philippines or to hear of this catastrophe, here's a little story for you. So, Justin Banusing is what you would call a rich kid. He grew up enjoying a life that many Filipinos can only dream of. He had a fancy home, studied in private schools, and was driven around in SUVs. You see, his dad, literally named Gus, ran a car accessory shop and his mom was a restaurateur. I have a feeling though that Gus wasn't only just making his money by running a car accessory shop, if you catch my drift. Justin grew up reading his father's Doom Patrol comics and even playing fighting games with him. He also took a liking for creative writing at a young age, even writing his very own blog at age 11 where he would talk about his day-to-day life in a rather eloquent way, especially for someone as young as him, though it only had 2 entries before he stopped posting. Most kids born in this situation would usually choose to coast off of mommy and daddy's money. Maybe they would spend their teen years drinking and clubbing with friends in high-end nightclubs, buy the trendiest clothes at the time, and continue that into adulthood until they eventually inherit their parents' wealth and or business, rinse and repeat. But Justin Banusing instead chose the road less traveled and in a way followed in his parents' footsteps. He instead became an entrepreneur. While he did mainly enjoy comics, he was dragged into the world of esports when one day, while scrolling on YouTube, he came across the Smash Brothers documentary by East Point Pictures and it enamored him. You see, aside from the documentary giving a new perspective into Justin's pastime, gaming, you see, Filipinos have a competitive gaming culture. Walk into any computer cafe in the nation and chances are, you will witness a bunch of kids yelling slurs at each other that haven't even been invented yet. All over Dota, by the way. Though I wouldn't know, I am a VTuber. I am literally a 500-year-old mafia demon hitman from outer space. What the fuck is this? Problem was, no one was organizing local tournaments in the Philippines to the scale that other countries were, like America and South Korea. And Justin, being the entrepreneur that he was, decided that he was going to be the guy that gave the Philippines its very own Evo tournament. But not before ditching a summer camp. You see, he's been talking to someone who has a similar dream to his own, Aryan Lim. So they formed a business partnership and eventually formed the CAD Arena, which is a community for student gamers who want to take their talents to a professional level by offering scholarships, hosting competitions, teaching them how to make it in the esports scene, and giving them financial opportunities through play-to-earn games like Axie Infinity. Now, let me introduce you to another guy, Kevin Wang, who was an employee at Twitch and a manager for an esports team. You may be wondering, how the fuck does this guy know a guy like that? Well, let me tell you another funny story about Justin. See, at age 13, he wanted to write for the esports division of ESPN Philippines. So he lied about his age and traveled around the Philippines covering happenings in the local esports community, and no one would bat an eye about some 13-year-old looking kid on an internship, but then it eventually led him to Kevin Huang. Kevin would play a vital role in Justin's life. Aside from him being the third man in in Ekaterina, he would give Justin a chance to go to the University of Washington as a working student. And let's just say that going to an American uni looks infinitely better than going to a Filipino uni. So Justin, being your average Filipino, went to the United States. I wouldn't know what an average Filipino is like. I'm literally a mafia demon. College life for Justin was what you would expect, especially from a working student. Waking up at 8 a.m., going to the gym, working, having some energy drinks, then studying, then having some energy drinks, then working on Ekaterina. He usually slept around 4 a.m. during those days, so he went to EDM festivals and Comic-Con to help him unwind and break out of his shell. But then, Justin, being the entrepreneur that he was, had an idea. Why not combine Comic-Con and an EDM festival? And so CONQuest was born. Before anything, I'd like the Kaigai Nikis to know what anime conventions are like in the Philippines. You see, they aren't anything like Anime Expo or Offkai or anything like that. They're more like small-scale gatherings in medium-sized rooms and malls, which means that when you're in a mall during an anime convention, you could see cosplayers scattered in the food courts, but more accurately, you can smell the cosplayers scattered in food courts. Philippine infrastructure is simply not ready for an Anime Expo level event. I wouldn't know though, I'm not a Filipino. The biggest, more accurately the best convention spaces you could realistically get in the Philippines are the World Trade Center, no not that one, the Mall of Asia, once known as the biggest mall in the Philippines, and Okada, Manila. And even still, it wouldn't be able to handle a fraction of Anime Expo's attendees. So in 2017, Justin organized the very first CONQuest in his home island, Iloilo. It was much like any other small-scale anime convention, but then he slowly kept it coming. 2018, he worked with the local government to bring in small-time cosplayers, gamers, and some local influencers as well. His goal was to be the biggest, baddest, and best convention in all of Southeast Asia, which means that his company Ekaterina could see some major growth. He wanted this to be the Comic-Con of Southeast Asia, and he was on the way there until
pneumonia has hit central China's Wuhan city. Authorities have reported 27 cases in total, 7 of which are critical.
we all know what happened in 2020 and 2021. None of us could go outside if we wanted to, and even then, what fun was it going outside when it felt like 28 days later? Sure, some of us found solace in the isolation. For once, it was peaceful going outside and not having to deal with traffic, but not for Justin. CONQuest 2020 and 2021 were cancelled altogether. But you see, Justin, being the entrepreneur that he was, waited for an opportunity. They call him Joe, the way that he was biding his time, and wait for it, he did. He came back with a vengeance with CONQuest 2022, and he had a record attendance of over 30,000 attendees, with streamers like Bao, Sans, Michael Reeves, and Lily Pichu being guests of the convention, all of which just barely fit the Mall of Asia convention rooms, but no one's complaining. So Justin, being young, entrepreneurial, and having a successful stint like that, along with making it to Forbes fucking magazine, grew quite the big head. In a podcast, he said that had he been given more space, he could have accommodated double the people, and so for CONQuest 2023, he shot for more than double the guests. It wasn't just gonna be the Comic-Con of the Philippines, it was gonna be like Forza Horizon 1 for a weekend. God, I love that game. I bring up Forza Horizon because there was a photo shoot challenge included with Subarus, which was sponsored.
Hey, that's a great shot. You've got a good eye for this.
Aside from that, he collaborated with Grab, the Uber of Southeast Asia, and the local government of Manila to make it happen. The main event will be held at the SMX Convention Center. The esports stuff and tech stuff being on the first floor, and on the second, you can buy art and fan-made merchandise. Something to take home with you, as if blowing all your money on anime figurines wasn't enough. But that's not just it. They would shut down the street adjacent to the convention center, see Seashell Lane to give way to food busking and the Subaru Photoshoot Challenge. A part of the mall in the Mall of Asia would be used for cosplay events and panels. The Conrad Hotel would be used as a place for meetups, and the part of the nearby National University would be used for esports tournaments and maid cafes. Bao, Lily Pichu, and Michael Reeves would make a return, and other big name streamers like Pokimane, Saikuno, Valkyrie, and Shoto would appear in the convention. You will also have the opportunity to experience CONQuest as a music festival. How people would get around easily from building to building, especially considering Philippine infrastructure, I would not know. But being the entrepreneur, Justin doubled the prices knowing that he would make a killing, and that's not considering the premium passes and sponsors and expenses. See you in the skies was the motto, and Justin hyped it up like crazy. He hopped on radio shows, podcasts, and let his Twitter fingers go insane. You see, relatively recent cons at the time were already experiencing issues with crowding, especially the venue that CONQuest 2023 was being held at, the SMX Convention Center. So Justin Banusing took the opportunity to talk some mad shit about the other cons. Fumbles of another local con in the Philippines are making people question if coming to events are even worth it. Don't worry, come to CONQuest 2023 and we'll show you what a premium event is like. The local scene's lack of innovation is exactly why I started CONQuest back in 2017. We hear you and we got. Sorry you had that experience. Can't speak for other events, but CONQuest Festival is focused on providing a premium international level experience. I like to think that our price is more than worth it. While Justin Banusing was on his generational press run, his father Gus pulled him aside and said, "Son, I don't think that the Mall of Asia is gonna be able to fit that many people in it." But Justin was confident that it will fit. Pause. He closed down a whole ass street and rented a mall for like 3 days for the event, and so CONQuest 2023 was underway, and it was the biggest one yet. The first day was what you would expect from an anime convention of that scale. People enjoyed it, there weren't too many people in there, and it was great, and it looked like CONQuest 2023 was gonna be a smash hit. That was until day 2. It was a Saturday, and so that was when the most people were in the con, and so naturally it filled up real quick. CONQuest was able to get 70,000 guests, but the Mall of Asia could not handle 70,000 guests, so it just became a line con, a type of convention where the venue is stretched way beyond its limits, leading to people waiting out in lines for hours. Line Quest, as it was called, and let me tell you, it was a disaster. Security guards could not handle it and were tired and unfed. They were pissed, and the attendees knew it, and they were both pissed. There was supposed to be a truck full of bread, but the bread went bad when it counted. But what made it worse was that it was the Philippines, full stop. It was very hot and very humid, so imagine sitting in traffic for a full hour because trains don't exist in this godforsaken country, and standing outside in a line for hours in the tropical heat. It was hell, and that's understating it. And I wasn't surprised to find out that some people even fainted as a result. Day 3 was worse. It was a Sunday, so it was no surprise that it pushed the venue beyond its absolute limits. Alongside that, Bao the Whale, while a controversial figure these days, complained about how con staff was, put bluntly, prioritizing Shoto over her. Generally, con staff did not communicate with her at all compared to Shoto, could not prepare her tech and audio when it came time for her segment, and the logistics for her merch were a mess. Because con staff could not communicate in time, her team had to contact the warehouse directly and ship her merch themselves. When Bao complained about it in this tweet right here, con staff told her to apologize and delete that tweet. Just so you could get an idea of the sheer scale of the blunder, CONQuest 2023 landed on national news. It was a tragedy, and that's underselling it. Shortly after, a Twitter user known as Peebles floated the idea of a lawsuit against CONQuest, but it never went anywhere as far as I know, cause shortly after, 2023 would be the last CONQuest event ever. Justin, Kevin, and Ariane apologized for the incident, and the con promised to return the money via Helix Pay, not Gcash or PayMaya or a bank transfer like any normal human being would want to. They wanted Helix Pay. It is unknown to this day whether 100% of refunds went through. Justin, having realized his cataclysmic screw-up, took a step back. He left the CAD arena, though it's unknown whether it was 100% because of CONQuest or whether there was something going on behind the scenes, but he went quiet. He became a DJ for a bit and decided to return to the festival scene because he just loved it that much. From the ashes of CONQuest 2023, End Friends was born, and so far, no one's been complaining about it. It wasn't as big as CONQuest was, and instead of an overall convention/festival experience, Justin just wanted it to be an EDM festival with a bit of convention sprinkled in. Justin Banusing learned his lesson, and to this day, the convention scene in the Philippines stays small, quaint, and tight-knit. Not that I would know anything about that though. I am literally a